Did you know that there's only around 50 years of oil left in the world at our current rate of consumption? Fossil fuels are terrible, as many of you probably know. You might have been to the gas station recently and seen that the price of gas is off the charts. Fossil fuels are also only around 33% efficient, but worst of all, they're destroying our home, Earth. And even though scientists are constantly developing clean and renewable energy sources, we could just harness the energy that we already waste. For example, you might have been sleeping on a couch, gotten up, and felt that the couch was warm. Well, that's body heat that you create every second of your life, but we aren't utilizing any of it to satisfy our daily energy needs. Even cars and airplanes waste valuable energy, which can be used to give power back to these vehicles. Walking, as well as human waste, create energy, but what are we doing with it? Nothing. And these are just a few examples. So now you might be wondering, alright, harnessing wasted energy is an interesting idea, but why is it better than other energy sources? Well, fossil fuels are terrible, as I previously mentioned, but there has been a rise in renewable energy sources such as solar energy and wind power, according to my mentor, Mrs. Reddick. Renewable energy sources are great because they're clean and renewable, but they're also extremely expensive and inefficient, and solar panels are a great example. You might have seen solar panels as you were driving past a neighborhood on the houses. You might even have them at your own home, and they're great because they're clean and renewable. But they're also extremely expensive and inefficient because solar panels for the average American home can cost a whopping $25,000 to $35,000. And even though this initial investment might be lucrative in the long run, it's still an exorbitant amount of money. And that's because paying off the initial investment can take up to 20 years, which is longer than the time that I have been on the face of the earth. Solar panels are also not very reliable because they can only produce energy when the sun is out and only turn around 12% of the energy into useful and usable energy. And just in case you were wondering, wind turbines aren't much better. A wind turbine isn't as common, but a residential one you might see on a farm, for example, costs an astounding $48,000 to $65,000. And wind turbines are around 45% efficient, which is better than solar panels and fossil fuels, but it's still very little. On the other hand, harnessing wasted energy has all the advantages that renewable energy has because it's clean and renewable, but I also don't think it's that expensive. This is because objects that harness wasted energy are embedded into everyday items, unlike renewable energy sources. The only major fault of harnessing wasted energy is that it might not be very efficient, but as technologies continue to improve, inventions that accomplish this job will only become more efficient. So now you might be wondering, how do we harness wasted energy? And even though this is a relatively new topic, there have been a few inventions created to accomplish this job. The most common being regenerative braking, or more commonly known as regen braking, which turns the kinetic energy of the car into usable energy when the driver brakes their vehicle. Many car companies such as Toyota and Tesla have installed this feature into their hybrid and electric vehicles. A group of researchers at MIT has also developed a material that converts waste heat into energy, which can be installed into cars because a little less than half of the car's energy is wasted and vented out as heat. But inventions that harness wasted energy don't even necessarily have to have any technological components. For example, most watches have a battery, but some watches have a pendulum in the watch that swings with the motion of your arms when you walk to turn the hands of the watch. Even something as simple as a jacket, which you might be wearing right now, is harnessing waste energy because it's trapping the body heat that you create inside of you and using it to warm you. I personally am also in the process of inventing a device for the STEM showcase at our school. My goal is to charge a battery using the energy that you create when you walk. Now I know this idea may seem a bit far-fetched, but don't worry, I've invented my madness. Essentially how the shoe works is at the top of the shoe is where your foot goes, then beneath that is a pocket of air. So as you step down, the air gets pushed out of the air pocket, which turns a little turbine in the sole, which turns a DC motor which charges a battery. Now at the moment this is a prototype and probably isn't going to be the most efficient or comfortable shoe. But if someone with more experience than me were to create a shoe like this, it would probably be much better. But just imagine being able to go for a jog and being able to charge your phone afterwards using the energy that you created while you were running. In conclusion, harnessing wasted energy is one of the best alternatives we have because we waste energy everywhere. And it's much better than energy sources such as solar energy or renewable energy sources and fossil fuels. And even though it's a relatively new concept, there are a few ways that we can harness wasted energy. But yes, you can support and encourage the growth of harnessing wasted energy. The easiest thing to do is to purchase an invention that accomplishes this job. Now at the moment, there probably aren't many on the market, but in a few years, that definitely won't be the case. So if the shoe that I just talked about comes out onto the market, buy it. Or even if in the future, there might be a bed that charges your phone at night using the body heat that you create while you're sleeping. But if there's one thing that I know for sure, it's that this is the next big thing. So let's get ready for it.